their first date after meeting on Tinder. Their initial meeting had gone so well that they decided to extend the evening at Jesse's rented apartment in Auckland's City Life Hotel. Tragically, this footage captures the last moments of 21-year-old Grace alive. Grace Emmie Rose Millane, a 21-year-old British backpacker from Wickford, Essex, England. She came from a loving and close-knit family. She was the youngest of 3 children. Grace had 2 older brothers, Michael and Declan Millane, November 30th, 2018. She arrived in New Zealand as part of her year-long overseas travels after graduating from the University of Lincoln with a bachelor's degree in advertising and marketing. Before arriving in Auckland, New Zealand, she had been exploring different countries, including Peru. When Grace landed in Auckland, she checked into Base Backpackers Hostel, a popular accommodation for travelers. She spent time exploring the city and kept in touch with friends and family back home. On December, Grace continued sightseeing and visited local attractions. That evening, she matched with Jesse Kempson, then 26, on Tinder. They arranged to meet the following day for a date. On December 1st, at around 5:45 p.m., Grace and Kempson met in person for the first time at Sky City, a busy entertainment complex in Auckland. At the start, their meeting appeared completely ordinary, with both of them seeming like typical individuals enjoying a casual date. Throughout the evening, they engaged in lively conversation, frequently smiling and laughing, indicating they were comfortable in each other's company. 7:12 p.m., they visited Andy's Burgers and Bar. They spent about an hour there drinking and chatting. Using dating apps while traveling is very common, with many travelers relying on them to meet new people, explore local culture, and enhance their travel experience. The likelihood of using dating apps while traveling depends on factors such as age, destination, and personal preferences, but studies suggest that a significant percentage of travelers, especially younger generations, use apps like Tinder, Bumble, and Hinge while abroad. Some travelers are looking for casual companionship, romance, or even long-term connections. Dating apps make it easy to find like-minded individuals interested in anything from a one-time meetup to a potential relationship. Grace seemed relaxed and engaged, often leaning in while talking, while Kempson appeared confident and attentive. Their body language suggested mutual interest, with moments of physical closeness such as walking arm in arm. The chemistry between them seemed strong, making it appear like a successful first date. Solo travelers like Grace often turn to dating apps to meet people and avoid loneliness. Whether it's for a date or just friendly conversation, apps provide a way to engage socially without feeling isolated. Dating apps allow travelers to quickly connect with people nearby, making it easier than traditional social settings like bars or cafes, where language and cultural barriers might make introductions more challenging. Nothing in their interactions suggested any tension or concern. The bar had a bustling yet laid-back vibe, with a mix of tourists, locals, and groups enjoying food and drinks. Dim lighting and warm decor created a cozy yet social setting. Background music played at a moderate level, adding to the energetic yet comfortable ambiance. Other patrons were engaged in conversations, laughter, and the general buzz of a busy bar. A study by Statista found that over 50% of Tinder users have used the app while traveling. Solo travelers and backpackers are especially likely to use dating apps for socializing and meeting new people. Major tourist cities like London, Bangkok, Paris, and New York see high activity on dating apps due to the influx of international visitors. 8:27 p.m. They left Andy's and walked to the Mexican cafe, where they continued their date. CCTV footage captured them laughing and appearing to enjoy each other's company. While dating apps enhance the travel experience, there are risks, including safety concerns, scams, and cultural misunderstandings. Some precautions include meeting in public places, letting a friend or family member know about the meetup, like Grace did, trusting your instincts and setting clear boundaries. Staff and patrons who saw them noted that they seemed to be enjoying themselves. One bartender recalled that they were laughing and chatting easily, showing no signs of discomfort or tension. A witness who sat nearby later told police that they appeared engaged and affectionate, behaving like a couple who had known each other for longer than just a first date. They were seen kissing at the table, further indicating strong chemistry. Grace appeared relaxed and animated, gesturing as she spoke while Kempson seemed attentive and confident. No one who saw them that night noticed anything unusual or concerning, making the tragic turn of events even more shocking. Their interactions at the Mexican cafe reinforced the idea that the date was going well, and that Grace had no reason to feel unsafe at that point. Grace Millane and Jesse Kempson arrived at the Bluestone Room, a bar in Auckland's CBD, just before 9 p.m. They sat together, drinking and talking. CCTV footage showed them kissing at one point. Did things between Jesse and Grace progress too quickly in terms of kissing and holding hands? Or does it really matter when physical affection happens, whether on the first date or the fifth, if someone has bad intentions, as they will eventually reveal their true nature regardless? The Bluestone Room, a stylish yet cozy bar, housed in a historic building, had a warm and intimate ambiance with dim lighting, rustic brick walls, and a lively crowd enjoying drinks and conversation. The atmosphere was relaxed, yet social, making it an ideal place for a date. They continued drinking, with Jesse ordering multiple rounds. Little did Grace know that her life was in danger, believing she was on an exciting adventure in a new country, sharing laughter and conversation with someone who seemed charming and friendly. She had no reason to suspect that behind the smiles and engaging stories lurked a sinister reality, one that would soon turn her night of romance into a heartbreaking tragedy. At this point, Grace felt at ease and even excited about how well the date was going. At one point, she pulled out her phone and sent a quick message back home, letting them know that the date was going great. It was a small but reassuring update. At 9:41 p.m., they left the Bluestone Room and walked to City Life Hotel where Kempson was staying. Footage captures them walking arm in arm, resembling a couple who have known each other for years. The chemistry between them on the CCTV footage appears strong, suggesting they had a great time and genuinely enjoyed each other's company. This footage from the lift is the most disturbing part because this was the final location where Grace is seen alive. The next day, at around 8 a.m., Jesse left his apartment at City Life Hotel and walked to the warehouse on Elliott Street, a retail store with no sight of Grace. He showed no signs of distress or panic, behaving as if nothing unusual had happened. He was well-dressed and walked casually through the City Life Hotel lobby. His body language was relaxed, not hurried or nervous. He used his phone normally, reinforcing the appearance of being unfazed. New Zealand, particularly in urban areas like Auckland, has an extensive CCTV surveillance network. The presence of these cameras is largely aimed at enhancing public safety, deterring crime, and assisting law enforcement in investigations. This system played a critical role in tracking Jesse Kempson's movements and piecing together the events surrounding Grace Millane's disappearance. Jesse Kempson was born in Wellington in December 1991 and grew up in Peru. When he was 9 years old, his parents separated and he became estranged from his mother, who moved overseas. During police interviews in the investigation into Grace Millane's disappearance, footage later shown in court, Kempson mentioned that he had attempted to reconnect with his mother, but their relationship never recovered. He claimed that the divorce caused him anxiety and depression, saying, "It was tough at the time, but through counseling, I got through it." After briefly living with his grandfather, Kempson was raised by his father, who later remarried. In high school, he was an accomplished softball player, competing at a regional representative level. Following school, he worked as a laborer and bar attendant. However, at some point, a rift developed between Kempson and his family, prompting him to move to Australia. There were claims that he fathered a child while in Australia, though his family has reportedly disputed this. A woman who met him in Auckland in August 2016, after his return to New Zealand, recalled that he once showed her a photo of a young girl, claiming she was his daughter. In the years leading up to his arrest, Kempson frequently moved between different flats in Auckland, often posting in Facebook groups looking for new accommodations. A former flatmate described him as initially chatty and easygoing, but over time, he became aggressive and unpredictable. He frequently told exaggerated or fabricated stories, and if anyone questioned him, he would become defensive and hostile. Just after 8:30 a.m., Jesse was captured on CCTV at Countdown Metro, a supermarket in Auckland's CBD. He purchased cleaning supplies, including bleach. His demeanor remained calm and casual, showing no signs of panic. CCTV footage showed him walking through the aisles normally as if running a routine errand. Once again, he then returned to his City Life hotel apartment. One thing that stands out after reviewing countless hours of footage is Jesse's complete isolation. He never seems to have anyone to call or confide in about what is happening, no friend to turn to, no sign of emotional distress shared with another person. Instead, he moves through the city alone, casually going about his day as if nothing is out of the ordinary. His reclusive nature is evident in every frame, painting a picture of someone entirely detached from the gravity of his own actions. He went to a local store and rented a carpet cleaner, further trying to remove evidence from his apartment. Jesse walked to a car rental service and hired a Toyota Corolla, returning to his apartment thereafter. He returned to his apartment and retrieved the suitcase. Unfortunately, this suitcase contained Grace's body. He used a hotel trolley to transport it to the rented car. There were no visible signs of blood dripping from the suitcase when Jesse transported Grace's body to the rental car, likely due to the time delay. Several hours had passed since her death, allowing coagulation, the clotting of blood, to occur, which would have reduced the likelihood of fresh blood leaking. Additionally, I assume that the suitcase may have been made of water-resistant material with a tight seal, which could have further prevented any fluids from seeping through during transport. A killer's ability to function the next day as if nothing has happened can be attributed to several psychological and behavioral factors: emotional detachment and lack of remorse. Some individuals, particularly those with psychopathic traits, have a diminished ability to feel guilt, shame, or empathy. They may compartmentalize their actions, allowing them to carry on with daily activities without emotional distress. There is no indication that Jesse even questioned himself for what he is doing. Shock and denial. In some cases, the killer may experience a psychological defense mechanism that numbs their emotions. They might suppress what happened, behaving as though it were just a bad dream or an event disconnected from reality. A desire to avoid suspicion. Acting normal is a deliberate effort to avoid detection. If they suddenly behave erratically, people around them might notice. By maintaining their usual routine, they attempt to blend in and divert suspicion. At around 3 p.m., he is on the move again. Cameras spot him an hour later at Revelry, a cocktail lounge and bar based in Auckland, with another woman on yet another Tinder date. During the date, he spoke about a recent case involving body disposal, which the woman later found disturbing. The next day, Jesse Kempson went to Bunnings Warehouse, a hardware store in Auckland, to purchase a shovel. CCTV footage captured him walking through the store, appearing calm and casual. I've always felt that if someone is in a store purchasing items like duct tape, a shovel, and zip ties, there should be a law allowing the cashier to alert the police so the buyer can be monitored. While this might take up some of the police's valuable time, in many cases it could help catch a potential criminal in the act. However, everyday items like duct tape, shovels, and zip ties are also commonly used for legitimate purposes, making it tricky to flag every purchase as suspicious. If such a law were in place, it would have to be carefully regulated to avoid false alarms, while still allowing law enforcement to monitor concerning patterns of behavior, especially if the same person buys multiple suspicious items in a short period. The idea touches on the ethical balance between privacy and public safety. It could help prevent crimes, but it would also raise concerns about surveillance overreach. What do you think would be the best way to implement something like this without infringing on privacy. It was later discovered that Jesse Kempson had buried Grace Millane's body in a shallow grave in the Waitakere Ranges, a remote, forested area west of Auckland. The location was approximately 25 kilometers or 15.5 miles from his apartment at the City Life Hotel in central Auckland. Grace's body was found inside a suitcase, which had been carefully placed in the grave and covered with soil and vegetation. Police were able to track his movements using CCTV footage and cell phone data, which showed him driving the rental car out to the Waitakere Ranges. The burial site was later pinpointed by authorities, leading to the discovery of Grace's remains on December 9, 2018, a week after she was last seen alive. There was a 3-hour gap between the time he purchased the shovel and when he returned to his apartment. Notably, he was walking barefoot, suggesting he had been somewhere with mud or soil. CCTV footage in the elevator clearly captures his bare feet, indicating that this was the period when he went to bury Grace's body. It took him approximately 20 minutes to freshen up, after which he reappeared on camera wearing a different set of clothes. Now he is carrying multiple plastic bags out of his City Life Hotel apartment. He disposed of them in public trash bins around Auckland's CBD. These bags contained Grace's clothing and belongings used cleaning supplies. Here, Jesse is seen visiting a dry cleaning service to have some clothing cleaned. Kempson drove to Washworld Street Luke's to clean the rental car he had used to transport the red suitcase. He spent time thoroughly washing the exterior and vacuuming the interior. Investigators later examined the car and found forensic evidence that linked it to the crime. Kempson eventually secured a job as a salesman, and in October 2018 began renting a single-bedroom apartment at the Auckland City Life Hotel just months before meeting Grace. His lease was set for a year, but it was abandoned following the events of this case. It was later revealed that the tenancy tribunal had ordered Kempson to pay his landlord over $5,000 for damages to the apartment and unpaid rent. The landlord, unaware of Kempson's violent nature, was shocked by the investigation. He believed Kempson was earning a salary of approximately $150,000 a year. Prior to Grace's murder, Kempson had only 2 minor traffic offenses on his record. A woman who met Kempson after his return to New Zealand in 2016 later came forward, revealing they connected on Tinder and had mutual friends in the softball community. She recalled that after hearing his sob stories about struggling to find stable housing, she felt sorry for him and allowed him to stay at her flat temporarily. There was never going to be anything there, but I felt bad for him. In the softball community, we look after each other, and we probably crossed paths before, she explained. However, she soon noticed inconsistencies in his stories. One moment, he was staying in a motel, supposedly paying up to $1,000 a week, and the next, he was being kicked out of his flat. Kempson told grandiose lies, including claims that he was related to an All Blacks player and was looking to buy shares in a high-end Viaduct restaurant with his uncle. After staying at her flat for several days, Kempson abruptly packed his belongings and left. Later, he called asking to borrow a towel, which she allowed. However, upon returning home, she discovered that an emergency stash of money, which she had hidden among the towels, was gone. When confronted, Kempson denied taking the cash. Though she never reported the theft to police, she immediately cut all ties with him and tried to move on with her life. For CCTV surveillance, as it played a major role in ensuring justice. While some have privacy concerns, the system is widely viewed as a necessary tool for security and crime solving, particularly in high-traffic areas like Auckland's city center. In tragic cases like this, CCTV doesn't just provide evidence. It tells a story that victims no longer can. Kempson walked through Albert Park, carrying a plastic shopping bag. CCTV footage captured him discarding more items in a public bin. Investigators later determined that the bag contained some of Grace Millane's personal belongings. Witnesses recalled seeing a man acting casually as he disposed of trash, unaware of the dark truth behind his actions. During the police investigation into Grace Millane's disappearance, Jesse admitted to being a heavy drinker who frequently met women for drinks. On December 2, 2018, while Grace's body lay in his apartment, he went on another Tinder date at Revelry Bar in Ponsonby. The woman later described how their date came about after Jesse sent her persistent messages, often messaging multiple times in a row even when she hadn't responded. Before meeting him, he seemed normal and nice, but very persistent. On the day we met, he did say that if I wasn't up for it, that was okay, but I decided to go ahead anyway. During the date, she noticed he seemed aloof, nervous, and fidgety. He talked a lot, often becoming fixated on certain stories, including his job at a supermarket chain, the dangers of snakes in Australia, and how he knew someone who accidentally killed their partner during rough sex. He was engaged in conversation, but he wasn't really interested in forming a connection. It felt like he was preoccupied with his own thoughts and stories. The date lasted about an hour and a half, but as it ended, she began to feel uneasy. I left after we said goodbye. He was going to walk in the same direction as my car, but something felt off, so I lied and said my car was parked elsewhere. She described a gut feeling that she wasn't safe with him. With growing fears that something was wrong, Grace's parents contacted New Zealand police, who launched an official missing persons investigation. David Millane, Grace's father, took an emergency flight from the UK to New Zealand to assist with the search. On December 5th, David Millane held a press conference in Auckland alongside New Zealand police. He was visibly distressed, but remained composed as he pleaded for help in finding his daughter. He described Grace as a kind, family-oriented young woman who had been excited about her travels. His pain and desperation were evident as he fought back tears, urging anyone with information to come forward. The press conference received widespread media coverage, prompting an outpouring of public support. A day after the press conference, police announced that they believed Grace was no longer alive.
Thank you for coming today. As you know, Grace has been missing for several days. We last had contact with her on Saturday the 1st of December. And as a family, we've been extremely concerned for her welfare. Grace is a lovely, outgoing, fun-loving, family-orientated daughter. Grace has never been out of contact for this amount of time. She's usually in daily contact with either her mother, myself, her two brothers, members of the family on social media. I don't know if you know, but Grace is on a year-long worldwide overseas experience. Grace started this travel journey in Peru in South America, and at the end of this was really looking forward to the second leg in New Zealand. She arrived here on the 20th of November and has been bombarding us with numerous photographs and messages of her adventures. We are all extremely upset, and it is very difficult at this time to fully describe the range of emotions we are going through. While we are very grateful for the media coverage both here and back home, we are finding this situation quite upsetting, and would sincerely hope that the media continue to respect our privacy. Finally, I would like to take this opportunity to appeal to anybody who has seen, spoken to, or come into contact with Grace over the last few days, and to come forward with any detail, no matter how small, and contact the investigation team. Once again, I thank you all for coming.
Jesse was returning to his hotel after disposing of more evidence in trash bins around the city. The moment he noticed police officers at the front desk, he casually turned around as if he had forgotten something. However, the officers had already spotted him and quickly moved in to apprehend him. During his police interrogation, Jesse Kempson initially acted calm and cooperative, giving a version of events that attempted to distance himself from any wrongdoing. However, as detectives confronted him with inconsistencies and evidence, his demeanor shifted. He became more evasive and emotional at times, even appearing to cry. When police presented CCTV footage showing them together and evidence placing him in his apartment with her, he changed his story. He claimed that Grace had died during consensual rough sex and that he had panicked. He told police that when he came out of the shower, he found her unresponsive, surrounded by blood, and was unable to revive her. However, forensic evidence contradicted his claims, suggesting that Grace had been manually strangled for an extended period, which was inconsistent with an accidental death. During the early stages of the investigation and trial, New Zealand law protected Jesse Kempson's identity, meaning his face was blurred in released footage, and his name was initially suppressed. This was a common legal practice in New Zealand to ensure a fair trial and to prevent media coverage from influencing the judicial process. As a result, When interrogation footage and CCTV images of Kempson were shown to the public, his face was obscured to comply with the court's suppression orders. The legal system prioritizes the principle that a defendant is entitled to a fair trial without undue public prejudice. However, once Kempson was found guilty of Grace Millane's murder, the suppression order was lifted, and his identity was made public.
How did the evening pan out?
Yeah, pretty good. I didn't initially know that she was real.
What do you mean?
Well, there's a lot of... So have you heard of catfish?
No.
So catfishing is where someone uses your profile, or uses your photos and pretends to be you and then meets, and you're a completely different person.
Right.
And it's happened to a few people I know in Australia. And it's all over the TV. So I thought, you know what, if I meet at Sky City, at least I know that there's lots of people around. So if it is someone that it's not, then I can just walk away.
How did the evening sort of come to an end?
There was a hug and a kiss on the cheek, and a thanks, no, nice meeting you. And then I said, let me know about tomorrow. And she said, okay. And then she kept walking.
We actually don't know if she's been murdered or not yet. She may be alive and well.
Okay.
But she might also be dead. Okay? And it could be that you've done it.
You've indicated that you're willing to speak to us about the events of last Saturday. Is that correct?
Yes.
Tell me what happened last Saturday.
Talking to me about 50 Shades of Grey, which is a sex fantasy movie that's out. We started having sex. At first it was just normal. It was very placid. And then she asked me if we could get into bondage. And then all I remember is falling asleep in the shower.
Jesse claimed after he came out of the shower, he found Grace already deceased, and that there was too much blood and he was unable to revive her.
I need to stop. I need to go.
Would you like some fresh air?
Yeah, please. I was in shock. I didn't know what to do. I went downstairs and I was just, I don't know, I was all over the place. I didn't believe what had happened. I was just terrified and scared. I thought that she had gone. I thought she had left.
Pathologist, specialist doctor, will perform a post-mortem.
Yeah.
They're very skilled at establishing people's causes of death. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
Did you kill Grace Millane? Okay. You're under arrest for the murder of Grace Millane on or about the 2nd of December. You understand?
Yeah.
Police found Grace's body in a shallow grave in the Waitakere Ranges, confirming the family's worst fears. David Millane was devastated and had to identify his daughter's remains. The people of New Zealand, deeply moved by the case, held vigils across the country to honor Grace's memory. Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern publicly apologized to the Millane family, saying, "I'm sorry, Grace. You should have been safe here." David Millane later attended court hearings and the trial, witnessing Kempson's conviction for murder in November 2019. The jury deliberated for just 5 hours before finding Kempson guilty of murder. On February 21, 2020, he was sentenced to life in prison with a minimum non-parole period of 17 years. Justice Simon Moore, who presided over the case, described Kempson's actions as depraved and noted that he had shown no remorse. Forensic evidence disproved Kempson's claim that Grace's death was accidental, showing she had been strangled for at least 5 to 10 minutes. CCTV footage revealed his calculated cover-up attempts, including buying a suitcase, cleaning supplies, and a shovel. His internet search history showed disturbing searches, including looking up ways to dispose of a body. The prosecution presented evidence of his past behavior, revealing a pattern of violent and manipulative actions toward women. With all convictions combined, Jesse Kempson is serving a life sentence and will not be eligible for parole until at least 2037. This is Grace's mother's impact statement.
Your barbaric actions towards my Grace is beyond comprehension. No life sentence you receive today will match the life sentence without my Grace. But I will do my utmost to ensure that no other family needs to go through what we have endured. You have ripped a hole in my heart, one that will never be repaired. You walked into our lives and destroyed Grace in the pursuit of your own sexual gratification.
During his trial, there were claims that he was an oil company manager, the cousin of a prominent all-black, that he had gang connections, was friends with police officers, and had cancer. At sentencing, Justice Simon Moore said a cultural report concluded, Kempson's childhood and upbringing has been affected by various traumatic influences, which impacted his transition to adulthood and ability to make good decisions and the right decisions. Justice Moore said Kempson's volatile upbringing and cultural isolation may have led him to lie to those you wanted to impress by pretending you were a man of affluence and social standing. That appears to have been your modus operandi when attempting to impress the women you met. Our deepest condolences to the family and loved ones of Grace Millane.